Hope you enjoyed. That brought us to 28 minutes past 7 o'clock. You're listening to Bite Into It on Triple R. I'd like to welcome to the studio Mark Morrison and Adam Boyle from Infogrames. Is that correct pronunciation?
If you're French.
Yeah, I can. Or you just have a problem with your throat like I do.
Actually, Morse, mate. Yeah, Infogrames.
Infogrames,
yeah.
Okay.
Or Infogrames.
Indeed.
It's much easier. I was lucky enough to head on down there to the Infogrames site. 3 levels of gaming fun during, was it last week or week before? Can't remember now. That's how high on generic throat lozenger I am today. And met up with Mark, and he showed me around the place into not so secret and secret areas abounded amongst there. But one thing I did want to just
like
cover
to say, we've got the snipers standing by if you divulge the activities on level 10.
Yes, no, what level 10?
Good man.
I don't remember level 10. But I was wondering, though, for the uninitiated perhaps out there in listener land, Mark, you might want to go through how Infogrames came to be in such a lovely location.
Okay, well, this is the story of 2 companies bringing up 3 very lovely girls. Infogrames is a French computer gaming company with about a 19-year history, and very much famous for games such as Alone in the Dark and V-Rally. And because the French stock market loves games, began quite a process of expansion in the late 90s. And over on our side, Melbourne House is a company with about a 21-year heritage, an original Australian company developing games for Sinclair and Spectrum and Commodore 64 and all that stuff. Early landmark games such as The Hobbit and Way of the Exploding Fist, which the crustier listeners out there will have certainly played and enjoyed, the original beat-em-up. And so we were proceeding as Beam Software when as these things go, Infogrames bought our game development side of things. And from that point we became Infogrames Melbourne House.
Did things change much?
Yes, we had money.
Open-ended question.
Yeah, right. So you want to take it from the changeover there, Adam?
Well, yeah, I guess after that, we proceeded to develop games like Le Mans Dreamcast and also Looney Tunes Space Race, if people are familiar, and more recently Grand Prix Challenge for the PlayStation 2.
Nice lead in there.
Speaking
He's actually, I did want to ask, now your role let's talk about Grand Prix Challenge, which actually isn't out in Australia yet. We sort of will touch on that in a minute, but it has been released in Europe, I believe.
Yes, a number of days ago.
Glowing reports by all account. Your role in Grand Prix Challenge is a lead programmer, is that correct?
That's correct.
What's that actually involve?
Well, that means I basically lead a team of, say, between 10 and 20 people, and we head up the programming aspect. So on the other side, there's a lead artist as well, and together we're basically on the floor writing the game for 18 months.
It was 18 months, yes?
Yeah, that's about how long it took for this game to be created. So.
And it's... dare I say, we were talking about the previous, this is for PlayStation 2, previous releases of Grand Prix games for the PlayStation. It seems to be a fairly major step forward on top of ones previously.
We think the game rocks. Yeah, I mean,
we know
maybe we're
rocks.
biased, but the feedback we're getting so far is really good, and we've really concentrated on the core game elements. So, having great racing, great physics model, great AI, and also great graphics. So.
From what I saw, from just focusing on that for a minute, from what I saw, you did seem to cover a broad, as you say, range of aims in the game, right from your basic, just purely arcade race. Yeah, although it's more than that in a way, because you've got the weather effects and you've also got the different profiles of each driver and so forth, right up to a fairly sophisticated level of Formula One racing.
That's right. We really tried to make it so it's accessible for beginners, but also really fun for experienced racing fans as well. I need some cough lollies too.
Oh yeah, I'll slip you one later on. But, there you go. From your point of view, Mark, what was your involvement with the game as such, or just in general with Infogrames?
Well, I'm currently a producer/designer, and so I was involved with the early stages of Grand Prix Challenge, doing all the documentation for the game design, which is basically our blueprint for what the game's contents are going to be. And it's always quite a process with these things, and we planned a bunch of things, and we did many of them, and others, went by the wayside. But the end result is pretty, fantastic. So as far as game design role, for Challenge, straight up, like in this case, we're working with a licensed motorsport, and we know it's got 17 tracks, we know it's got 11 teams, it's got 22 drivers. We've paid a large amount of money as a group for the license, so we absolutely can't introduce any, slapping monkeys or chicken guns or anything that you wouldn't generally see Michael Schumacher doing on a Sunday evening on your television. So
Jacques Villeneuve, on the other hand.
Exactly, yeah, he's definitely a wild
Having
man.
said that, we can make the racing a lot spicier than the real thing. Like, a lot of people have criticised the Formula One this year as being kind of a bit of a boring affair to watch. So, we tend to try and spice up the AI and make it a little more...
Phil, I must admit, the second race of my attempt at Formula One challenge was in the wet. What racetrack was it? It was the one in Japan.
You were at Sepang in Malaysia.
Malaysia, that's right. Opening corner, probably 18 cars and a big pile up right at the start. Oh, most enjoyable for me coming last. Whoa, I've shot all the way up to second or something there for a microsecond. So you're right.
Well, it was how Australia picked up its first gold at the Winter Olympics.
Mark Webber, who is a big PlayStation 2 fan, actually, our Mark. So we're looking forward to sending him a copy and watching him cut loose.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, Adam, when I'll confess to being more of a PC gamer than a console gamer, although that may be about to change. It seems that when you're reading reviews of PC games, there's an awful lot of discussion about the engine. And I'm actually completely ignorant here. On when you're designing a game for a console, do you have to actually make a decision about a particular engine like you do
Definitely.
with a PC?
We have a separate group of people which we call the TDG, and they're fantastic. Their job is basically to break the console, the PlayStation 2, apart and discover all its hidden secrets, and we create our own game engine in-house, so that that handles all the things like the base physics, the graphics, obviously, the sound. So there's many different systems that we develop. And then all of our game teams get these systems and use them to create games.
So do you do these guys kind of get to see the light of day very much, or is it just kind of like you pass them, pizza and Jolt under the door? And
sometimes it's like that. I mean, in the last 2 months, especially of a project, we work insane hours to get things done. I mean, everyone's really passionate about making games, and for them, they just do what they have to do to get it done.
There were some. I passed several rooms with abhuman type silhouettes behind screen doors, I think, that I didn't want to venture into. So that was probably that area. Actually, Beam in itself has a fairly good pedigree in racing games, and therefore the physics aspects of motorsport, I guess. As you said, you did the Le Mans game, and
I mean, for me, I've been involved
titles.
with Death Cars for PC, and also GP500 for Microprose, then Le Mans 24 Hours for the Dreamcast and Grand Prix Challenge. So, like, the common thread has been, they're all games with more than 20 cars, so we really specialise in making an interesting racing game with a large field of cars.
I think that's something that I can, heap praise upon Adam, because he's too shy to do it himself. But this game is looking as good as Gran Turismo. The frame rate is rock solid at 60 frames per second. It's silky smooth, never breaks down, despite the fact that maybe it's raining, there's 22 cars. The game is glides along, and with 22 cars on the track, which is 4 times what Gran Turismo is pushing around. Did we say it rocks?
Yeah, it rocks.
Okay, I'll say it again.
It's actually really scary if you're driving at the back of the grid and it's raining. You get this real fear as you're going up Eau Rouge or something like this,
Oh, yes. I get a real fear with one, So is it as a developer, is it, obviously, I guess if it works, it's more satisfying, but is it preferable to design your own engine no matter what the game, or are there some games where you would just go, oh yeah, that's
Some games probably could get by with just, you buy one off